We're going to be welcoming here in just a moment Grant Blaisdell and Lady Rocket, the visionary mother and son team behind Copernic Space. Grant is a global innovator and blockchain and digital asset infrastructure individual known for co-founding CoinFirm, one of the world's leading crypto analytics companies. Today, he's channeling the expertise into the next great frontier, building the financial rails for the new space economy. Alongside him is Eva Blaisdell, known globally as Lady Rocket, a former Fortune-level executive, philanthropist, and founder of the Lady Rocket Foundation. She is a champion of global inclusion, education, and always opening the doors of space to communities everywhere. Together, they co-created Copernic Space, the pioneering platform enabling anyone, not only governments or billion-dollar corporations, to access, buy, and sell truly own participation in space. After all, space is for everyone, and missions and space-based assets are what they do best. Their mission reaches beyond industry. It's cultural. It's human. They are taking art to space and empowering humanity by giving the ownership back to the individual, ensuring that as we rise beyond Earth, our creativity and our agency and collective story rise with us. Please join me in welcoming Grant Blaisdell and Lady Rocket. Did I make you happy?
Thank you. Fantastic. Hello everybody, I'm very excited to be here. Let us find a place. I am very happy to see all of you. I would just add to the wonderful introduction that both my son, Grant Blaisdell, because we are generational, we operate almost like a family office, investors in the space. We are investors, we are financiers, we put our money and sometimes money of our investors where our mouth is, which is taking all of us all the way to the moon. Grant, I am so proud as your mom and a partner to share this moment with you, and thank you for being part of our experience. Is this the moment for me to introduce the event? Fantastic. Hello, great, fantastic. Let's have some fun. Hello, BitBasel. Bring more wonderful people here. Hey, BitBasel. By the way, speaking of BitBasel, I think we started a BitBasel participation support in 2019 or 2020. And we were one of the first people who brought NFTs to Art Basel in 2019, dedicated to bringing space, art, investment, and a future together. As a Lady Rocket, I am space entrepreneur, investor, but also someone who is expanding definition of how we people can engage in space, and we cannot leave art behind, because art is ultimately what makes humanity who we are. And Grant is a co-founder of Copernic Space that he will be introducing, but now I want you to share with me a very special moment. I want to introduce to you culmination of 40 years special relationship with one of the most famous industry OGs, Zelimir Illich. When I was general manager of Compact Computers, I worked for him because he was running half of the world for this big company. Guess what? About a year ago, Zelimir, Grant, and I met in Munich. We looked at the private collection of Zelimir Illich, and I said, Zelimir, your legacy, purpose of your collection, which is to celebrate Croatian national art, we have to take you to the moon. And guess what? I am very proud to introduce our friend, partner, investor, because Zelimir is also phenomenal investor in Copernic Space, and his special art collection that represents millions of dollars worth with art residing now on the moon. Is this the moment to turn it on? Okay, Zelimir will be sharing with us special moment. Oh, hold on the voice.
To greet you at this wonderful Sagamore Hotel in Miami. Many thanks go first to Eva Blaisdell, the visionary and founder of Lady Rocket Foundation, and also to her son, Grant Blaisdell, the co-founder of Copernic Space Corporation. Without their imagination and support, a remarkable part of my life's work, my historic collection of 20th century creation art, would not be on the moon. Yes, on the moon, because a place without borders, that is moon, without politics, and without noise and clouds that often surround the art happening on the earth. And now, the moon will hold the Zelimir Illich collection.
Bravo! Zelimir, our friend, became a role model for other art
Ladies and
collectors.
gentlemen. It is my honor to greet you.
That's okay, Zelimir, I don't mind. He's already bringing other philanthropists, big art collectors who are recognizing that keeping their art like Zelimir does in a beautiful residence in Munich or art gallery is a passé. You need to take your art out in the open, create a new fortunes, because behind this is also creation of the new wealth. But putting it on the moon is the ultimate statement of innovation, legacy, game-changing, and embracing space. This is my pleasure now to pass this stage to Grant Blaisdell, and we'll be sharing with you the moment. Grant and I will be changing our programs here, and we have some phenomenal artists present in the audience that will be introducing and sharing with you unprecedented integration of art, goodwill, style, luxury, and investment. Because we'll also tell you about tokenization. And if you follow some of the richest dudes that we have in this country, like Larry Fink, from Los Angeles originally, they are saying tokenization is the most important new financial model. So as a Copernic Space and Lady Rocket Foundation, we've been working with tokenization, tokenized space, but now art, private assets for the last couple of years. So here we come. Grant, are we ready? Okay. And we have a very special artist here in the audience, Remo, that we'll be also talking to a little bit later. But Remo, if you can stand up or just wave.
Hold up. Let me take over here.
Okay, wonderful. Take it over, my son.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here once again. Thanks to the BitBasel crew for having us come up once again. Today, we're going to talk actually about one of the most important opportunities of our lifetimes that also breeds better results for life on Earth, which is the creation and introduction of the space asset class to the world in the commercial and investor market, and how it's the first inherent class that will be on chain that's truly democratized. As you see, even the big players in the world, the Larry Finks of the world, believe that tokenization is going to touch every single asset. Next slide, please. Excuse me. Next slide. So this is the next $1 trillion asset class. It's the largest asset class that's being created in this century. The thing about it is no one's built the financial infrastructure, actually built the access point to it, which is this big opportunity for this technology as a whole. And Copernic Space, what we're doing is we're turning space, the already $600 billion economy, soon to be multi-trillion dollar economy, and we're turning that into a digital asset class that empowers you guys to be stakeholders, participants, shareholders in some of the most important and valuable assets of the near future. Next one, please. What have we done this year before I get into the meat and bones? Earlier this year, we actually showed a new model on how to finance a moon mission and how to commercialize access across a broad B2B and B2C segments and provide fast returns to these liquidity providers into this moon mission. And what's coming next is a whole pipeline over years of more opportunities, infrastructures, missions, lunar missions. One thing that I'm sure Scott has spoke about throughout the days that we're going to be collaborating on, but also release of native tokens that fuel this entire ecosystem that give you access to them. Real quickly about myself again, I want to thank my mother, of course, for the wonderful intro, but I've been in the blockchain market for well over a decade, and not as a speculator. I've been building solutions that are core bridges or infrastructure for this market, such as CoinFirm, which was the innovator around analytics and regulatory technology for crypto. But I am third generation space. Actually, this all started with Lady Rocket's father, who built the original space program in Poland in the 70s and 80s, and was a visionary of his own right that had a dream on democratizing access to this market. So I've known, no matter what I've been doing around crypto, that actually the most important opportunity of our lifetime, whether you look at it economically or you look at it as tangible results that benefit life on Earth, is going to be space. Let me give you the big picture, especially if you're a history fan, you like economics. A lot of the modern economy today is based off the first era of exploration. What was happening then? New ship technology unlocked the world to each other, right? But what wasn't happening yet, and what unlocked that entire value chain, was actually financial innovation. So companies that started creating shares, your entire idea of shares is tied to the first era of exploration. What does space represent? The second era of exploration. What does that represent? Once again, one of the largest opportunities, not just of our lifetimes across centuries, but also the massive need to create a new financial infrastructure that powers this second era of exploration. So these new financial tools, not just the ships, aka the rockets in this, are the keys to actually unlocking it and turning it into a global, scalable market and asset class. But what's going on in space? Everyone knows the opportunity, but they see it through the eyes of a few billionaires in reality. The truth is that there's thousands of space companies either existing or emerging. It's already a $600 billion market. It's supposed to hit $2 trillion within a decade. What's going on though? No one's built that financial infrastructure, the marketplace. How do I access that market? How do I participate in it? And how do I benefit from it directly? Either as a company, either as an individual who has a passion or space, or an investor, whether you're institutional or you're, once again, an individual who's sitting there and you've always want to have participation in space. So what have we built? We utilize blockchain and tokenization as that economic, that financial infrastructure. We're taking big, expensive, exclusive, hard to reach assets, whether it's rockets, private space stations, in-orbit computation and AI, and we're turning those into tokens and fractionalizing it down, cutting it down into smaller pieces that make it much more accessible, investable, or commercializable between you and these space ventures and space companies. So of course we look at through the market through entities like SpaceX with Musk or Bezos with Blue Origin, but the entire market needs that financial infrastructure and the user interface, the marketplace, for all of you guys to become stakeholders into this market and asset class. And this whole tokenization thing, once again, the big opportunity for blockchain, as someone who's been in it on an enterprise end for over a decade, et cetera, is there's always been promises, blockchain is going to completely revolutionize this market, and this market, and this market, and this market. But the struggle has been is that majority of these markets and these asset classes already have decades of legacy systems, bureaucratic processes, administrative processes that have made it extremely hard for this technology to grab a hold in it at scale. Okay, I like to say blockchain is economic infrastructure technology, right? So if we're talking about infrastructure, you need to be there in the core, all right? The big opportunity with space is no one has yet built that. We actually have the opportunity for the first time ever to put a major asset class and market inherently on chain under new values, new rules, new transparency, accessibility, and more liquid markets, both primary and secondary. And we foresee that within 5 years, we could put billions of dollars in space assets onto our platform so that by the next decade, that 1.8 trillion marker, we can have about 80% of the market inherently on chain and functioning in a much more democratic, transparent, efficient, scalable method. And what's happened so far since we launched? All sides are buying in. Why? We are solving one of the biggest issues for space companies, space ventures, etc. Yes, Musk has the most liquidity in the world, so to say, so does Bezos. Those two companies will eventually use platforms like this, but they're not really suffering under the weight of what most deep tech industries or ventures are experiencing. They need new liquidity models that don't completely dilute their equity, and they need a marketplace to better scale and commercialize what they're doing in space, their space assets. Investors and VCs. If you even have the privileged access to invest into space, you're almost doing it exclusively through equity, right? Which is high risk, concentrated risk. And the liquidity event timelines are a decade. More, you have to wait till this company goes public. This has created a choke point in space where people who even want to get into space, institutional and private, have a hard time justifying that for themselves because they don't see the return in the short term, let alone the accessibility. Last but not least, business and retail. There's millions of individuals and companies all around the world that want access to this market. I'll show you a few use cases we've had commercially that have unlocked that up to broader business and retail, okay? Big case that we did, coming back to earlier in the presentation, Moon Mission 1. What did we do there? We offered a select group of our users a way to finance a moon mission. We didn't say invest into Copernic Space equity. We said there's going to be this moon mission. We're going to buy this lunar payload. Here's how we're going to commercialize it. Based off the liquidity they provided, they got a percentage of the commercial revenue that mission generated. Okay, so what did I do? We got a moon mission funded faster, more efficiently, better than trying to do an equity round. And then we use our own platform and marketplace and user base to commercialize that across a B2B, B2C segment. What did this do? Within 4 or 5 months, we provided 3x returns to those liquidity providers. Okay, for a meme coin in crypto, that might not be the most insane return, but for space, it's actually revolutionary. You just took a model that takes over a decade, high risk, and you've shortened that and diversified that risk. Going back to the first era of exploration, what was the revolution there? Open up access, diversify risk, create a marketplace that provides shorter returns. And we proved that with the moon mission. But this model works horizontally, whether it's a satellite, whether it's a private space station, whether it's in-orbit data centers, which I'm sure you guys have seen lots of hype around, is this provides the model to both finance and commercialize such missions. So right now, there's over 2,000 digital assets of B2B, B2C players from all around the world that have verified ownership of their assets on the lunar surface. As a part of that, one of the sub-asset types that emerged was art. We opened this up to humanity in a bigger way. And art is already an extremely valuable asset here on Earth. We talked about how tokenization of art itself totally unlocks that market. What we've done and proven with utilizing space for it and turning it into what we call real-world space asset is we've actually created an elevated, literally in this case, more rare and valuable class of art by turning them into space assets. So in this room with us are loads of artists that have participated in this. One, which is somewhere around here, Marco.
Yeah.
Marco,
hello, Marco.
He's probably...
And thank you, Marco, for your incredible generosity toward foundation and donation of your Blue Dart and Mandela art. You are welcome. In the meantime, we have our two phenomenal artists. Here is Remo, and just arrived our very special Mr. Henderson, Murray Henderson.
So one of the assets that were on this first mission is Pale Blue Dot. You can go to Art Miami right now and actually see this. I took this a few hours ago with Marco, so you can see how massive and big this is. By the end, we're actually going to have a special announcement with Marco around it. So what did we do? We tied a terrestrial asset, sent that one to the moon, and now we're authenticating and tokenizing it and tying it to the ownership of that. So ownership of that comes with also ownership of its digital copy on the lunar surface, right? Next one. Back to the Zelimir Illich collection. What I love about this is taking a fine art collection that took decades and decades to collect. It's 20th century. You know, these artists aren't even alive anymore. And what did? We took fine art We modernized it in a sense and sent it to space. These are all assets that we're making commercially available. Because why? We're also creating a standard on what represents verified ownership in space. Whether that is a satellite or whether that's a Nike shoe or that's a piece of art. Scott. Thank you. But we also have fun with it. So we teamed up with Axiom Space, one of the bigger space companies in the world, did a community initiative around it. And we had a winning meme that was chosen. We wanted to do, okay, what's the first meme on the moon, literally. And a great artist in Italy called Davide came up with the best one. I think it culturally fits into crypto. If you actually scan the QR code, it'll take you to the landing page so you can sign up for, wait list, access point to actually gain access to this in the beginning of next year. So we're also taking the broader culture into space, in this case, the moon, and turning these into assets. But what's coming around? Art is just an asset type within everything we're doing. So once again, we're taking this standard we've built for space assets in the marketplace, applying it across the whole chain of what's happening in space. We have further moon missions. We'll talk about that in a second. We're dealing with private space station, reusable rockets, which Lady Rocket will speak about in a moment. Satellite imagery licenses. How do we democratize access to satellite imagery and data? Something that will tangibly change and improve how the world works today. Once again, data centers. If you've been following it, big hype. All the wealthiest guys in the world are investing in sending data centers in space. We have to off-world the AI infrastructure because it's already tearing at the environmental capabilities that we have here on Earth. What we're answering is how to turn that into an asset and make it financially and commercially viable to do such missions. But we also come back to Earth. So I'll get to it a little bit later. We teamed up with Unstoppable Domains to give you a unique access point to space. And actually fueling all of this next year is going to be a native token. We've spent 5 years not wanting to do it. Why? Because we wanted to create a viable platform, ecosystem, market before we started introducing financial utility to our users. But expect that in the first half of next year. What's coming up? And I want to congratulate Scott, and I want everybody, whether it's privately or right now, give love to Scott because he's also actually a visionary in this. Him and I have been talking about how to do this, how to do these things, do them the right way for many years. So what's coming up next is Copernic Space with BitBasel and Nanofish. Bruce was here earlier. I don't know if he's still here, the founder of that amazing company that's building technology that keeps assets secure for millions and millions of years in space. We've teamed up and also with other space companies like SpaceBit to launch further assets and missions, which launch later this year. And on those missions we have new sets of assets as well. So our wonderful Marco came to the stage. I showed you Pale Blue Dot earlier. You will talk briefly about Mandela in a little bit. But this sculpture here is going great places. And on top of that is we're going to take it to the moon on future missions. But you'll talk more about Mandela a little bit later. Cool. Remo, stand up, please, if you can. Wave to the crowd. Say hello. Remo's been featured at the Louvre. Here's the Carrousel de Louvre collection, okay? This is something that we're also putting on future missions, right? So that we're putting real valuable assets that are already very valuable, but once again, we're adding that elevated rarity and value to them by turning them into real-world space assets. If I can
add that Remo's assets that are being passed for tokenization to us are worth $1 million because it was also sponsored and invited by Institut de Bon Art de Paris. And we will be, together with Grant, Remo, and I, contributing to the tradition of Institut de Belles Arts de Paris, which cherishes Monet, artists that you will recognize of the great French culture. So in our DNA, it's not only expanding financial value of art, but also using space for mega philanthropy and sponsorship. We spend incredible amount of money for building a new marketplace for the incredible art whose spirit, art, intentions align with us. And thank you, Rima, for contributing your beautiful art. And we'll be, of course, talking with your incredible generosity and innovation. And later we'll be also introducing Murray.
Yeah, Murray, please, you stand up and say hello to the crowd.
Bravo. Murray is a friend, a partner, who is willing to listen to some of my ideas about breaking the barriers, both financial, emotional, cultural, between big brands like Michelin, like Formula One, because you might ask, how can we game change BitBasel, space marketplace, only by bringing through us, through our vision, mega players with billions that are not dedicated to us yet. So, yes, so you have it, you'll be able to show it. Okay, so let's do it, and later I want to introduce to you a result of my collaboration with Grant. Michelin, yes, because this will show you how we work with artists, with investors. I am addressing Michelin as a creator, and we probably do not know it, of incredible, if someone also can take pictures, okay, the other way, vertically. Okay, so I will pass it. So here is a Michelin Lady Rocket, Michelin boy. Blue tires, because the idea came from my engagement with Michelin, who is working very quietly to get on the moon together with our American Artemis program. So here's the power of art. Bringing, could you please take a pictures? And where is Murray? Okay. And here, some of you already know that I am taking advantage of Formula One and massive amounts of marketing, brand, etc. So here is Murray dedicated to Lady Rocket mission, acknowledging my innovation around bringing concepts of Formula One to sponsorship of my rockets, which we'll be talking about shortly. And of course, we are recognizing one and only Lewis Hamilton, currently of Ferrari. Why? He's a great human being. He loves animals, and I support his foundation. So, Murray, would you like to take the word?
Well, I just wanted to say, talking to Lady Rocket, and she was talking about Michelin, and I said, well, I can put you on the moon with Michelin. So that's how this all came about. So whenever I'm talking on any calls with them, it's always about her ideas, her vision, and I try to put everything that she mentions into these paintings. So basically, hopefully it gets the point across. I mean, I even have a hidden F1 car in here too. Yeah, I have mooncats
and
for her as well.
mooncats that you will learn
Thank
about.
you.
So this is not your boring Elon Musk rocket going in space. This is lively, artistic, mission-driven rockets with purpose, because we cannot waste something as incredible as a rocket and let it carry just a few billionaires. That's underutilization. So thank you so much. Very quickly, here is, I want to acknowledge presence of Murray's wife. And if I may, acknowledge also name of Courtney that maybe you want to say a few words about. Okay.
Well, when I was talking to Lady Rocket, my wife and I lost a daughter to cancer when she was 16 years old. And what I said to Lady Rocket is she told us when she was very sick that she never wanted to be forgotten. So when talking over a meeting, I said, would there be a way that I can incorporate Courtney's name on these paintings and maybe on the rocket somehow and actually have her in space so she's always with us. And that's kind of something special. And then I think we're going to hopefully get some research for cancer on the moon, which is incredible because it doesn't have to be just childhood cancer. Anyone with cancer, any kind of cancer, we want to get rid of that as fast as we can.
Thank you so much, and I'm honored to be able to contribute to keeping memory of Courtney among us. And sponsorship of the research is part of our business model investment. This is why we are talking to the space stations to bring commercialization of the cancer research, which accelerates research by about 10 to 20 years. Kids cannot wait for the traditional treatment and the research. We are transforming with Grant Space into the domain that can change lives here on Earth.
Just as a real world application for that, actually pharma companies have recently started investing in space. And one thing that's come out of it is actually there's big innovations around cancer treatment, because in that environment, protein crystals, all these things behave and act totally differently. And you can actually do things in space that you literally can't quite do on Earth. And this is once again why there's a massive importance to create the financial infrastructure and the model in the marketplace that is going to fuel these tangible results for life on Earth.
And we are tokenizing it, but it's not your boring cryptocurrency tokenizing. It's passionate, it's huge, it's dedicated, and we launched it, and it's also yours because Copernic Space provides access to all of us. Thank you, both of you. Thank you very much for helping us. Thank you. Yes. Thank you for acknowledging it.
So as a reminder, one thing is breaking down accessibility to be able to send these things to space. The other thing we're doing is creating the standard on what represents verified ownership of these assets in space, okay? Because it's not enough just to send it. You have to have verified ownership. You have to turn it into an asset to represent ownership and value here on Earth. All right, to a little bit to this hyped up thing around data centers. We actually have the first mission for this launching next year with Orbit's Edge. We're also doing another test like that with Momentus, which is a satellite company, where we're going to create the standard on how to tokenize and transform data centers and computation in orbit into digital assets, whether that's on how they're financed or how they're accessed commercially. And you can even read about it in some publications. One of the use cases we have that's kind of cool and ties into the art thing is a friend of mine and founder of Scintillate, his name's Ben Weiss, and Reebok's founder, teamed up to do what? Do the first ever shoe design created in space. They're going to launch an AI agent on that satellite, on its data center, so to say. They're going to use that to create a unique design that's influenced by the space environment. They're going to beam that IP down, or of course tokenize the IP, because that's a different type of space asset. And then you will be able to buy a dedicated shoe line here on Earth that was actually literally designed in space. Fun stuff you can actually acquire right now that's easily accessible is, once again, we teamed up with Unstoppable Domains, one of the larger domain providers in the world, to create the first space-focused domains that are tied to real missions and assets in space. The first one is .lunar. So this is a real domain name. It represents ownership of things on the moon, this future economy. So I'll give you a sec to take the QR code. And check that out. We've been selling loads of different creative names that people have dreams for having something that's lunar. I see some cameras still up, so I'm gonna give it a sec. There we go. And we also launched together, you saw Lady Rocket talking about philanthropy. We have the Lady Rocket Foundation tied to everything we do, so where we can, we do philanthropic elements. You saw Mooncat earlier, so we created the Mooncat domain with a large percentage of the proceeds go to the Lady Rocket Foundation to do what? Something we've been doing for years, which is supporting cat shelters by rocket launches.
And big cats in Africa. So we'll be aiming at taking care of cats also in South Africa because of you.
So if you want a cool digital asset that gives you ownership of something tangible, space-related, and you want to contribute to philanthropic things, scan the QR code, or just type in Mooncat Unstoppable Domains. That will follow up.
And I also want to add that we are creators, since we are at Art Basel. We are the first one who created an entire art movement, tying name of the domain to the work of art, not only by professional artists, but we have about 300 school kids creating Lady Rocket Mooncats based on the domains that the Grant Copernic Space dedicated to them. We are teaching them about space, love for animals, digital Web3 art, and this is our contribution to opening up the space.
One of the assets that we're going to be offering, we've actually done successful sales for them before and created a standard for, is reusable rockets, right? So a big revolution in rockets in the past decade or so has been turning them into reusable assets. What we've done is we've created the opportunity to have the first fully privately owned rockets. So this is a collaboration that Lady Rocket is driving with two reusable rocket companies. One is Exos, which is one of 4 licensed reusable rocket providers in the United States. The other is Space Force, which is an innovative reusable rocket company in Europe. So I want you to come up and talk real quick about how you're transforming rockets into brand, luxury, art assets as well.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Grant. Great stuff. And so good to have you here. World is, especially now, a strange place. 1% centers are holding 60% of the purchasing power, and they are spending money, Ferrari, private jets, yachts. I own the rockets. So one of the ways that I decided to increase capital, visibility, fun, and purpose is I decided to package my ownership of the rockets, which I will tell you about, into ultra luxury, ultra extravagant asset that is truly limited, unavailable, and includes also my passion, which is relationship with artists, art. So my rockets are going to have artists who are going to paint a rocket, and we are announcing it today. It is my pleasure to announce Lady Rocket as a work of art, as an exclusive asset, flying work of art, available to the collectors who can justify, afford, prove a financial ability to pay $20 million for access to my rocket. This $20 million includes private rocket launch. And valuation of my rocket venture just went up because I clarified a very interesting aspect. I am throwing a big party, private rocket launch, as a part of the relationship with Lady Rocket, Copernic Space. We have designated rocket launch places so far. The American spaceport in New Mexico, northern Riviera of Europe, Baltic Shore, Portugal, but I also discovered, and I have to talk you into doing a rocket sculpture, that if you have American rocket, which has a permission to lift off into space from FAA, you can launch a rocket anywhere in the world. So I am building a menu of extravagant rocket launches, which now includes Brazil and Iceland. Inside of the rocket, we are going to take art, cryptocurrency, intentions, fun, music. And this rocket that I am sharing with you today will be also discussed on Sunday during Formula One, which is an incredible source of innovation, branding, money, because we are celebrating Abu Dhabi, Lady Rocket, Formula One. And as always, we are including kids. We have 2 schools in Abu Dhabi who have participated in my Formula One rockets contest for the last 2 years. So Copernic Space is a financial platform, but we are really inclusive and love to open it up. And I want to recognize my friend, Remo, as first artist who is getting a special relationship and special invitation. And we are honored to work with you on creating the rocket art. Remo already talked with John Quinn, who is a CEO of the rocket company here in the United States. And we are creating new genre of art and space. Watch out, Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos. We are coming big time, smaller rockets, but for the much significant purpose.
So just as a reminder, all these assets, whether externally on the rocket or internally as payloads, we authenticate, we tokenize them, and create an actual commercial market for these assets themselves. And last little addition to that, these are the first rockets ever to where after they go up and they come back down, if there's a full private buyer, they will take the engine out and they will literally give you the rocket, meaning put it at your headquarters. If you got a big enough estate, you can put it in the yard so that next time your buddy comes over, you're not comparing Ferraris, you're asking him where his rocket is, to revert back to what Lady Rocket was saying about how people are spending money this year. So just as a reminder, just as kind of a concluding thing, space seems elusive, exclusive. You have to be a billionaire, but that's actually kind of a failure of one thing, which is the communication of the market. That actually space is a very valuable market. It creates some of the most important scientific, technological advancements that affect all of you. The lady right here with the phone taking a picture of me, she's doing that partially because they made chips small enough so they can fly in space. That's how all that stuff started happening, right? The other thing is that the big opportunity is now to start accessing this market. And this is what we're building as a platform again, is the financial infrastructure and the marketplace, to whether you want to invest in the next great space infrastructure and mission, or you want to send your family photo to the moon and have it verified. And we have loads of cases of everything you could think of. My music is on the moon right now, okay? So the point is that what we're building is not just an accessibility point, but a standard for how you become a stakeholder and owner in this major asset class. And once again, the first major asset class that will inherently be on chain. So please engage with us further. Come up to us, the artists that are here. We're making some of these artworks available now, even some of the ones that are going to be going up in the future. So come talk to us. We're turning space into an actual commerce-driven market. So we're here to do commerce, of course, as well.
Panel time.
Panel time.
Fantastic. So, after we are done with panel, I want to invite all the artists to come and join us on the stage
for a
also for a family picture.
First, I want to introduce our new guest on the stage and panelist, Mark Donovan of X Prize. I'm going to let him explain X Prize, but X Prize is a revolutionary foundation that helped push the space market forward.
Thank you, Grant. Hey, everyone. How many of you have heard of X Prize? Anybody? A few? Okay. So X Prize is an organization, thank you, that creates incentive competitions to make breakthroughs in places where the market is not doing its job. And it actually had us a big role in getting us to where we are with space today. And I don't know if you know this, but in 1927, there was an incentive contest that led to Charles Lindbergh crossing the ocean. And then in the 90s, the Ansari family sponsored the first X Prize, which was about space, which has led us to this place that we are today in the private commercial space industry. So they have created over 30 prizes already and turned $560 million into over $60 billion of commercial activity. It's a 60x return. So, and Lady Rocket's doing incentive competitions with kids to get them excited to make breakthroughs and just to try to solve problems. So it's an amazing organization. I was invited to join the Brain Trust. This is how they do it. They bring about 100 people together to start ideating at the beginning of the year about what do we want to work on in their 5 domains. And so fusion and all these problems everyone's trying to solve. And the idea that I've been thinking about for about 4 years is called affordable living as a service: housing, food, energy, data, and connectivity for $250 a month. And I'm shocked to say that I won Visioneering this year with this idea, and we're going to have a $50 million competition to deliver affordable living as a service. Why is this so important, especially in the art space? Because jobs are disappearing. AI is taking jobs. Incomes are disappearing. If we don't have stability in this world, we're not going to be able to do all of these amazing things that are possible right now. So we're excited to be here and hope that you will support dreamers that are dreaming big and doing crazy ideas that nobody thinks possible. You're probably sitting there saying, how can you deliver housing, food, energy, and connectivity for $250 a month? Well, if we don't, we're not thinking big enough with this moment of AI and what we can do as we reimagine the economy of the future that Grant was talking about. Just in closing, I'm the founder of the Denver Basic Income Project. And when COVID hit in 2020, I started giving money away to people experiencing homelessness. And I started the Denver Basic Income Project with $500,000 of my own. We leveraged it up. We gave $10.8 million to people experiencing homelessness. It was transformative. People think that when you invest like that in people experiencing homelessness, it's not going to end well. Let me tell you, we need to invest in people, not just AI. We need to invest in people with cash and trust and dignity, and in our kids like Lady Rocket is doing. So thank you for everything you guys are doing.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Hold on the mic and grab a seat. Thanks, Mark, once again. And I want to thank Marco for, being an amazing artist, first off, but also being a visionary and seeing the value that we're creating for the art world and a broader message that your art and art overall is supposed to communicate. So with that, we're going to start a panel real quick. Also, Marco and us have arranged a special meet and greet with Daymond John, who will be coming through here soon. So you can talk to somebody who's also, through Shark Art, is empowering and pushing artists further in a new type of way. So you get to discuss his approach towards initiatives like that. But for you, Marco, tell us about Pale Blue Dot, because that has actually a space theme with it. And then, some messages on how we got where we are right now.
Thank you very much. And Scott, thank you for having this event. And last year was a great success. And Lady Rocket, you're a special soul, and thank you for that. Grant, thank you for having me. My name is Marco. I'm from South Africa. I'm the artist appointed by the House of Mandela to do a whole range of Mandela sculptures. It's a great honor, obviously, because he stood for great values, and he changed our lives as we all know it. The piece that's at the back there is made from recycled plastic that we retrieved from Robben Island. I put it through an extruder after we had made a mold, but I make a whole range of it, and I'm very privileged to tell you guys that it will go to Atlanta Airport, because when Mandela was released, his first stop was in Atlanta. He connected with government from Atlanta and the mayor. So I'm very grateful that when the delegation came over to South Africa, I donated it to them, and it obviously resonated with them. And here it is in America right now. So I'm very grateful. Thank you for all of you guys that's here that make a difference, because we all know making art is awesome, but it's these platforms that help us as artists to sell the art, which makes it sustainable for our family. So Grant, thank you. I know all of you guys, you dedicate your lives to help us as artists. And even Daymond John that will be here now, he regularly puts his hand up on so many occasions and continuously gives. And that's what makes the difference. This is what we do. We make this little ball a better place. In regard to answer your question about the Pale Blue Dot, I created the art piece that's at Art Miami. And effectively, when Carl Sagan looked back from space, the astronomer, he said Earth is a pale blue dot. But we all know that on that pale blue dot is where all the hate, all the love, all the wars, everything that we have in emotions, everything that we've created, this is where it's all stuck. And it's our responsibility to look after it. So obviously my passion is to use recyclable materials, which I think must be the focus of all artists, to turn trash into gold. Something that was a nuisance that served us at one stage, like a bottle top, can now be converted into something that can hang in somebody's home and move from generation to generation. So basically, I'm just inspired by trying to use trash and turn it into gold. And I'm very grateful for that my art's gone to the moon and that Nelson Mandela will be on the moon. And I think he is one of the human souls that deserve to be there. Yeah, he deserves it. So thank you for that. I really appreciate it.
And first off, it's our pleasure, and we thank you once again for being a visionary in what you're doing. We were talking a little bit earlier about this kind of concept that, you as an artist, as a creator, it's the hardest thing you can do is like really differentiate yourself. The art is the art itself, but how do you put yourself out there and create more value for yourself? So we're talking a little bit about, how we're utilizing space to represent. Have you had any further thoughts about that? How it separates artists, creates some new value for them?
Well, it's incredible that you can take art and realize that effectively the first art that we ever saw as mankind is we looked up in the sky into that beautiful canvas and saw the moon. How beautiful that art can go there. It doesn't matter in what format it goes, and it's going to be there forever. Imagine coming from another planet 3,000 years from now and finding this art on the moon. I think it will be incredible. So thank you once again.
Thank you.
May I add to this answer? First of all, I want to thank you on behalf of me and Lady Rocket Foundation and Copernic Space and all the kids that will be inspired, and the fact that we are using space as a next exclamation point for a legacy of the people like Mandela, who changed so much. And I am also delighted that we'll be able to expand financial mighty of art by bringing tokenization. So it's not only in the hands of cryptocurrency, banks, JP Morgans, it empowers you, us, an artist, because tokenization is the new financial power, and of course our education. So can we see? Yes.
There's a small Nelson Mandela.
Could you
I
please
create
take a
these
picture?
and I give them out all over the world to
Please
influential
notice this
people.
beautiful sculpture. And thank you again on behalf of my own. And it was so wonderful to meet you when we met flying from Los Angeles, I think, to Amsterdam. And you were such a gentleman. Look at this beautiful art. Can you tell us a little bit how you created it? And
Well, obviously, Nelson Mandela had a very unique face, and it was obviously very complex. And I had the privilege when I met the family, the first time they saw the art that I had created, they started crying. And I thought I'd done something wrong. And she said to me, Marco, capturing my dad meant a lot to us as a family. And many people have tried. I can't say that I've got it right. All I can say that I'm grateful for the opportunity that art is powerful and it brings people together. And if you continuously do something amazing, at some stage, somebody's going to see you. And you guys make that easy. So thank you for that.
And I want to add that Africa, Lady Rocket Foundation, Copernic Space are active in Africa. We support projects in South Africa, also Prophet Foundation in Kenya, and we are bringing to them power of new technology, financial technology, but also space. So your generous deed to us will be used to empower a new initiative, especially in South Africa. So thank you so much. Can you take a picture? Yeah. Okay, fantastic.
Marco, so it's not just a gesture, but it's obviously a transfer of wealth in a way. So I have to, thank you for that. And once again, he has Pale Blue Dot already on the moon. We're going to be putting further pieces of Marco's art on the moon, including the Mandela. So we have that slated in the next available mission to go to the moon. And once again, we'll authenticate, tokenize, tie it to that, and give you ownership of it. Since we have markup, and one thing X Prize I think has done that's revolutionary is it's kind of taken big idea, big picture. Can I grab the mic? Big idea, big picture, big potential concepts, and has engaged and kind of created a community, which I think something that crypto's done is very unique. What we have tied to the platform is a community of thousands of users across the world. Tell us kind of, space was a big flashpoint. If you could quickly tell us how you guys are kind of viewing doing that now or in the future even.
Well, again, it's just taking these challenges that haven't been solved, these barriers that we're facing, and bringing people together in a way that ideas and collaboration emerges. And so, when we come together like this in person and share ideas and get on the same page and set like bold goals that maybe we think are crazy today, but really go for it. And cross-disciplinary as well is really important. So I think there's a lot of opportunity for doing that in many different places right now. And these technologies give us new opportunity to do that in different ways. So we need to think big and we need to be bold and we need to, but also be inclusive and make sure that everybody comes along, because if we leave too many people behind, we can't get there either.
Well, just so you know, so the reason X Prize is also up here is because we're in discussions on how can what Copernic Space is building be also utilized by organizations like X Prize when they're doing space initiatives. How can we not only engage the X Prize community, but bring in the global community so they can be participants in what they're doing around space as well. Last but not least, I want to give Lady Rocket the last moment here. For you, this all started with your father, so my grandfather. What do you look forward most to that you're doing over the next year and a half or so through Copernic Space and Lady Rocket Foundation? What do you think is the biggest thing for everybody here?
Thank you. In addition to having a challenging but incredible relationship with my son, it's not easy to start companies together, to have a foundation. Of course, incredible relationships with friends like Marco and my new friend for Price X. But here is a bottom line. Because there is a bottom line, we are very much aware that new creation of new wealth is of paramount importance. Distribution and redistribution of access to wealth is of even bigger importance. We all know that concentration of wealth in the hands of few is going to limit us greatly. So my passion, the reason that I conceived Copernic Space, when I went to my first SpaceX rocket launch, I think it was 2016, I said, how can we democratize access to wealth and put new wealth into your hands? So Copernic Space is going to do that. Second, we are passionately devoted to inspiring young generation and older people. Well, I call myself ageless, but I am baby boomer. So inspiring baby boomers, older generation, it's not time to take it easy. Join us, build with us. And I also would like to very much make sure that as a Lady Rocket who showed the way to own rockets, I open it up to you. I make rockets relevant to all of us so they are not criticized, that they are available only to billionaires, to very few. And make rockets part of entertainment. I also want to launch a fund, mega fund. You know what? Trillions are the numbers that are being discussed. And we have our wonderful guest that is... Please join us on this for the moment. Very important. We are announcing ownership of the new rockets.
Do it. Announce it first, and I'll come up there.
Okay, fantastic. My investment in ownership of the rockets is something I want to share with you. They are not going to be available only to Formula One billionaires and those who want to invest in it. I want to make it available to you, together with artists, performers, entertainers. And I want to thank my son for being able to meet the challenge of going to the moon with his own mother.
Thank you, everybody. Let's give a round of applause to Copernic Space.
Thank you. And as a special guest, we want to thank and welcome Daymond John for coming and attending with us. Daymond, if you'd like to share something about Shark Art, because we talked about how to elevate artists through space, actually. If you want to share something about what you're doing around that, feel free to do so.
No, I don't want to take the stage away from amazing people like you. Did you do your announcement yet? I will not take away. Come here, Marco. So, you know, I just decided, why don't we sit down? I like the casual sit down. I sit down in a chair on my own normally. How you doing, everybody? Thank you. So thank you to everybody who's throwing this and all the artists in attendance. So a couple of years ago, I decided, and where's Jeffrey at? I would love to have Jeffrey over here. Jeffrey has built some of the tallest and largest sculptures in the world. 28 stories is one in Philippines, and he has about 40 of them or 30 of them. And he's an artist that I respect and love and value. But, you know, I created FUBU. I'm not sure how many people are familiar with the brand I created named FUBU. Thank you. I created because there was this new music that was coming out of the Bronx. So when I was growing up, called hip hop, and I want to be part of hip hop. But there was 4 elements to hip hop. It was graffiti, breakdancing, DJing, MCing. But I couldn't do any of that. So I decided to come up with a clothing line, but I couldn't come up with a clothing line because I couldn't draw. So who would I need to go to? I need to go to artists to elaborate this and create this emotion that was, as they call it, the first hashtag of clothing. And after that, what I realized, as in my business of being a shark, so many people come to me to help them with their businesses. And I help everybody, no problem, right, as you see. But I realized something else about artists. A lot of artists, they have an addictions. They create this beauty and pain, and our last bastion of free speech is due to artists. But you can be an athlete. You can be he's good. Don't worry about it. You can be an athlete. You can be a singer. Hopefully, if you're an athlete, a singer, you know what happens? You get the NFL. You get a record label deal, things of that nature. And if you don't, you become a nutritionist. You become a coach. You work in the office. And maybe if you don't get to that level, you go get a regular job. But an artist like this artist right here, Jeffrey, and every artist in this room, whether you get a job or not, you will always create beauty and pain, and you will always do it for the rest of your life. You don't have insurance. You don't have anything else. And if you do finally get somewhere, everybody wants you to die. So my theory has been to highlight as many artists I can on my platform, everybody else's platform. I tell all the music artists, I know everybody else, to say, why are you doing those stupid ass backdrops? Why don't you have just art there? Don't and highlight all these amazing individuals that are changing our lives. So that has been my goal. So I highlighted many artists, and then when I went around, people thought I was joking, and then I met a great person like Marco, and he was like, "No, you're serious." And I've been highlighting him as much as I can on everything I do, just to bring the attention to this entire beautiful community. And then I met Jeffrey and people like that. So that's all I've been wanting to do with Shark Art. And I just came here to support, what you're doing and space and all the things you're doing. And I just want to come here and give Marco some love. I have other obligations, but I just wanted to come here and give everybody love and say thank you. All right, I'm gonna let everybody get back to business here, and I'm gonna. I'll see you tomorrow. Hey, yeah. Oh, go ahead. One second, really quick. Yeah. It's also because I have other obligations, and I really came over here to support you.
As a Lady Rocket Foundation, owner of the Rockets, I want to pledge listening to your mission. I want to take the values like this in space, which is the ultimate domain for good human beings. And through the foundation and the monetization of my rockets, let's make a deal, Shark Art deal. We will take your art in space and donate proceeds from space.
I appreciate it, and thank you. It's not about me today. It's about everybody else here, but I definitely and will follow up. And he knows once we say we follow up, we follow up.
Wonderful.
All right.
Pleasure to meet you.
Thank you.
All the best.
Thanks, man. Do you mind sending me a let's do a picture. I'll send you that right now. Yeah.